So I got asked recently, is it better to build or to buy a pool route? And that's a great question, and it really depends on the type of person you are and a lot of other factors. So in the past, I have built a pool route up to about 80 accounts, and then I sold it. And I plan on building more in the future because I think it's a great business, but I'm gonna go over the pros and cons of either building one or buying one. And the first question you gotta ask yourself is, are you sure you wanna get into the pool industry? And the reason I say this is unless you've cleaned pools full time, a full route, you really don't know what you're getting into until you start doing it. Not to say it's a bad business or hard to do or anything like that. It's just to say you haven't done it, so you don't know what to expect. If you are currently a cleaner and you clean pools all day long and you want to own your own business, then 100% you already know what you're doing and you know what you're getting yourself into. I always recommend people get into new businesses as small and as cheaply as possible. That way, if they don't happen to like it or the prospects of the business change, then you don't have this huge burden financially on you, and you'll be able to transition into something else much easier. So I always recommend starting as lean as possible, so that's one argument against buying a route. However, they're not super expensive, and there's a lot of pros to buying one over building one. The next question you ask yourself is, what are your needs? Do you need a full-time income right away, and how much work you're able to handle? If you need a full-time income right away and you're not able to handle 2 jobs at once, then buying a route is probably better, so then you can jump right in, get that full-time salary, be making money right away. If you're able to handle multiple jobs and more work, which a lot of people can't, then you're better off keeping a current job or a part-time job and building your pool route on the side. It doesn't take a super long time to build a pool route, but you're going to be looking at 6 to 12 months before you're able to make it your full-time gig if you're really working at it. So that's another thing to really think about if you are able to put up with the stress of building one over buying one. However, I will say the ROI on buying a route is actually pretty darn good. The way they price a route is they take monthly cleaning revenue and then multiply that by 8 to 10. So if you have 50 accounts, let's say, and you charge $100 a month for each account, you'd be able to sell that route for around $50,000. And if you break that down, 50 accounts at $100 a month is $60,000 a year, and then you can expect about an additional $30,000 a year in repair work on top of that. So just as is completely, you'd be looking at $90,000 in total revenue, give or take a little bit in your first year. And let me say a little caveat, this is given that you're willing to do repair work, which I really recommend you do. Don't turn it down. That's including doing a lot of repair work, basically as much as you can do. At $90,000 revenue, if you're doing the cleanings completely by yourself, you'd be looking at about 50% profit margins. So you'd be looking at $45,000 profit in the first year, which is a 90% return on investment on your $50,000 purchase of the route. If you're hiring out, you can expect around 25% profit margins, which would equate to $22,500 in profit on that $90,000 revenue. Even at that, that's a 45% return on that $50,000 investment, which is an amazing return. So it's not to say that this is a bad investment at all, but I just want to give the argument that it's also very doable to build a route. You have all these options. If you have cash sitting around, you're probably better to just buy. If you're a scrappy hustler, you're probably better to build. When buying a route, there's a lot of things you should look for. The first one I recommend looking for is a tight route. What I mean by that is all the pools are in very close proximity to each other. At the very least, close proximity within each service day. So you could have all your Monday pools in one area, all your Tuesday pools in one area, and that would be valuable too. Most ideal is literally all the pools within a few square miles of each other. That's an amazing route. That's worth more. And the thing is, it's not necessarily going to be priced more on an auction site. So that's something to look for. Another thing you want to do is get a route that each pool is at least around $100 a month. That way you know that there's margins there, whether you're cleaning them yourself or if you're hiring it out. If you're looking at around like $70 a month, it's going to be really hard to make any amount of profit if you have employees. And I really recommend structuring it right away as if you're going to be hiring someone, even if you plan to do it solo, because that gives you the leeway and that gives you the opportunity to make it easier to sell in the future if you happen to wish to pass it on to a different buyer in the future. Another thing to look for is auto pay. A lot of pool companies aren't very organized with their finances. If you can find a pool route that all the customers are on auto pay, that in my opinion is worth much more because you're not going to have to deal with the hassle of hunting down payments from clients. And clients who aren't on auto pay tend to be the ones who cancel service more often because they have to think every month about paying you. And that's a decision 12 times a year that they might end up canceling. If you're on auto pay and you do a good job, they never have to think about you and they're more likely to keep you. So that's another thing that makes the route much more valuable. Another thing to look for is an organized seller and the system in which they organize their customers. If you meet with a seller and you're wowed by how organized everything is, that's potentially someone you really want to buy from. If you meet with someone and they seem a bit unorganized and they have some clients who are able to do this and some clients doing this, you might want to stray away from that purchase. And also, as a side note there, meet with multiple sellers. That way you can get a good feel for what a good one is versus a bad one. Don't become emotionally attached right away. A lot of people haven't done big business deals before, and it's really easy to get emotionally attached to something once you put in a little bit of effort in one thing. So try not to get attached right away. I recommend meeting with like 3 to 4 people, 3 to 4 routes at least. And also, if you don't have cleaning expertise already, make sure they have someone on board who is very skilled and willing to train you well, and make sure you meet that person as well. Because most of the time the seller is required to train you for 30 days, which should be enough for most people to learn how to clean pools and the little intricacies of each and every route. But if you don't know what you're doing, the likelihood of you losing clients right away, the clients that you paid good money for, is much higher. So make sure you have someone who's really good at cleaning pools and training you, and make sure you self-educate as well. Watch YouTube videos, maybe get a CPA certificate. Do everything you can to keep those clients because you paid good money for them. And in the beginning, when you start doing a route yourself, expect the pools to take like 30 to 40 minutes for each pool to clean. And then once you're good at them, once you know the route, you don't need GPS anymore, then you can expect the average to go down to about 20 minutes per pool, which really ups the amount you can earn per hour. So here's some tips on how to keep clients if you are purchasing a route. My number one tip is be reliable. Show up when you say you're going to be there and show up every time. And communicate with your customers. If you're going to be late or if you're going to be delayed or you can't do something for whatever reason, let them know right away. Not enough small businesses are good with communication, so you need to be good at this. Otherwise, they're just going to move on to the next cleaner. There's enough choices for them to go around. They will not hesitate to go to someone else. So be reliable, communicate clearly, and be a resource for them. Be a knowledgeable person that if they ask you a question, even if you don't know the answer to it, figure out the answer to it and show them that you are a force in this industry. It's going to give them a lot more trust in you. They're going to send you the repair work once it comes up, and they're going to be more likely to refer you because they're going to be like, this guy is an expert. He knows everything about pools, and they'll want to keep you, refer you to their friends. And on top of that, go above and beyond for the customers. I call this little customer service gems. It's little tiny things that you can do that stand out, that make them want to talk about your company. And there's a lot of different things you can do. Things like on holidays, leave a small little gift out for them. If their trash is on the street and the trash man just came and emptied it, roll in the can for them so they don't have to do it. Doing enough things like that over time will get you more and more referrals because it gives them a reason to talk about your company. Just doing a good cleaning job usually isn't enough for them to want to talk about you, so give them a reason to talk about you. Now, in my own experience, I built a pool route of around 80 accounts. And when I did this, I actually spent my full time on another business, and I hired out the cleaning and hired flyers. So I built this business 100% preoccupied by another thing. And so it's very possible to build your own and save the money it takes to purchase a route. What worked best for me is simply flyering neighborhoods, especially neighborhoods in which you already have a pool. You know, if you're already in an area, flyer the surrounding 50 houses every time you're there. I swear you will get clients that way. And additionally, word of mouth was huge for me as well. And that comes down to the little customer service gems and communicating well with the clients, because there's a huge opportunity here, because there are so many small pool business owners who know how to clean a pool but don't necessarily know how to run a good business. And it honestly comes down to the simplest things 9 times out of 10. Communicating clearly, doing a good job, being tech savvy enough to make it easy for the customer. You know, everyone knows what a good business looks like, feels like, is. It's just a matter of doing it. It's a lot harder to do these things than to say them, yes, and to be consistent with it, but it's very doable. And if you do them, you will stand out with the crowd, you'll build your route, and you'll take customers from other poor performing pool companies. I think there's a ton of opportunity in this industry. It's actually, believe it or not, a $6 billion a year industry. So it doesn't take much of a small slice to earn a decent amount of money in this industry. And also, I love this business because it's reoccurring income. People who hire you to clean their pools are hiring you every single week to come and clean their pool. So you know you have this money coming in, it's easier to build, and there's a market to sell these. So if you go in, build a route or buy a route, you know you can exit by selling it, which isn't the case for a lot of service-based businesses. They're not as easy to get in and out of. So there are a lot of things to think about here. At the bottom line, if you have cash to invest and you want to get into something quickly or you want to expand quickly, buying a route is probably better. If you are more entrepreneurial in nature, more scrappy, want to save more money, want to build something yourself, building is probably better. Both are doable. At the end of the day, they probably can make about the same amount of money, because with buying it, you're not spending all that time building it. With building it, you're not spending the money up front. So it all depends on the type of person you are. So I hope I gave you a lot of things to think about, a lot of insights. So if you like this video, please remember to give it a like. That helps me so much, helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you have any other questions about running a pool business or pool routes or how I did things, let me know in the comments below. Ask any questions. I answer all the comments. So let me know, and I hope you have a profitable day. Thanks.